It's time. It's the best time of the week. Bold predictions at Lettermen Row. It's the best show of the week. It's our favorite show of the week. It's the biggest game of the week. That might not be true, but it's a game that will be played this weekend. Ohio State at Wisconsin, 3:30 on CBS. CBS is calling it big time, B1G, big time. So we'll call it that as well. It's B1G time, Mick. It's Ohio State. It's Wisconsin. It's a pretty historic for the last 30 years. Yeah, there you go. For the last 30 years, it's a pretty historic battle. Like they've played in Big Ten championship games. They've met in classic ranked matchups. The upset wins in Madison for the Badgers. Huge Hail Mary wins for Braxton Miller and the Buckeyes way back when us two were still kind of short in the tooth. So there's a lot to sink in here, and the fact that it's not a big game kind of sucks. But it's big time on CBS. It's Ohio State. It's Wisconsin. It's 3:30 on CBS. Mick Walker will be there. I will be there. Austin Moore will be there for Lettermen Row. We're going to talk about bold predictions right now. Mick Walker, what's your first bold prediction?
Spencer was writing a story, getting ready for this game on Thursday afternoon. He sent a video into our little group chat with myself, Jeremy Birmingham, and Austin Ward of an absolutely atrocious interception by Hunter Simmons. That Iowa defender has never gotten luckier to get his hands on a ball. So I watched that and I said, if he can get his hands on a ball, he can have an interception like that. Why can't Caleb Downs do the same thing? So I'm going Caleb Downs, pick 6 against the Badgers in Madison to take us into the bye week.
Caleb has never had pick 6, I don't believe.
No, he likes to finish all his interceptions in the end zone, though, as a celebration thing. So it feels like some of them might have been, but I don't think he's ever taken one back. That's much more for a punt return game where Caleb Downs is an impact there.
Okay, well, speaking of never having done something before, so there's a lot of things that Jeremiah Smith has done in his career. Okay, like a ton of things that he's done in his career. Look, he's broken every freshman receiving record the program had to throw at him. He won a Rose Bowl, a Cotton Bowl. He won a national championship. He's become like the star of the sport in just 22 games. And like any elite cornerback he faces, it doesn't matter. But there's one thing, Mick, I noticed this week in some research, as the scholars would say, that Jeremiah has never done in his career. Marvin Harrison Jr. did it 3 or 4 times. Jeremiah hasn't done it yet. He's never had 3 touchdown catches or 3 touchdowns, period, in a game. That ends on Saturday, Mick. That ends on Saturday, Mick. Jeremiah Smith has 3 touchdowns. Look, I think they're going to go back to the well with his rushing, because I think it's easy to get him the ball when you just hand it to him and you have 2 blockers out in front against one small cornerback. I think this time that block is going to be picked up and Jeremiah is going to be able to run to the end zone. It's a play that nobody seems to be able to defend, where they just hand it to Jeremiah over there. And if they would have just blocked it correctly, he would have walked into the end zone and not suffered a little back scare there for the Buckeyes on Saturday at Illinois. I think they're going to go back to that well with Jeremiah, and he's going to have a rushing touchdown. And I think he's going to catch 2 touchdowns on Saturday. The thing about it is, Mick, that fade ball the route that he ran on the goal line fade was disgusting. He left that poor Clark kid in his boots at the goal line, and Jeremiah just easily catches a touchdown from Julian Sand. And I think that sets up everything. Is Jeremiah going to go run that fade route? Is he going to instead cut inside for a slant and just have an easy pitch and catch like he did against Minnesota? That's an easy way to get him a touchdown inside the 5-yard line. And I think it's an easy button for Ohio State to press moving forward at the goal line, as they've kind of struggled with short yardage situations in the run game. I think that's going to be one of his touchdowns. I think he's going to get over the top against zone coverage, and I think he is going to find a touchdown even if it's raining in this game for a long ball, because I think there's going to be some explosive opportunities. And then again, I think there's going to be a handoff in this game to Jeremiah, and he's going to get a 3rd touchdown. It's clear that Ryan Day and Ohio State are set on making him their Heisman candidate of choice this year. Ryan's been talking about it a lot, how much he's the best player in America. I think they're going to really start to flex that on Saturday, and if there's a chance to get him a touchdown, they're going to make sure to do it.
I love that one. And as you were talking, this is not a bold prediction. It's just merely a question. Jeremiah Smith has the rest of this season and likely next season in Ohio State, where he's going to, before he heads off to the NFL. Will Jeremiah Smith ever throw a touchdown at Ohio State, Spencer? Never? Oh, man, that's a boring thing. We'll just stick to the rushing touchdowns then. And I'm going to go with you on that one. I'm going to say Ohio State has 4 rushing touchdowns against the Badgers. I don't think that's super bold, but I think we're going to get in the end zone a lot on with some of these rushing touchdowns. I think Bo Jackson's going to have a couple. You mentioned Jeremiah Smith. Maybe he gets in the end zone for one. Maybe Julian saying kind of whether it's a bootleg or a QB sneak. Maybe he gets himself in there. So I'm going to go 4 rushing touchdowns for Ohio State in Madison.
Okay. All right. We kind of rifled through these bold predictions. I think they're pretty quick, but that's because we got a lot to get to at the end of the show when it comes to score predictions and things like that with the lines and the totals and stuff. So if you think we're going too quick, sorry. Jermaine Matthews, last week, Mick, 2 forced turnovers. One of them he doesn't really get credit for. It's a pass deflected. Peyton Pierce caught it for an interception. Jermaine has 1 turnover this year and 2 forced turnovers this year. You know, he had that interception on Arch Manning at the beginning of the year in the win over Texas that set up the second touchdown of the game for the Buckeyes. Then obviously last week he has the pass deflection, and then he knocked the ball out of Luke Altmaier's hands on a corner blitz on Saturday at Illinois. I don't care where he lines up. If he's in the nickel, it puts him closer to the football with more of the action, and I think that's really bad news for Wisconsin. But even if he's on the outside, Hunter Simmons has been loose enough with his passing game that I think Jermaine could get an interception on just a standard passing down from the outside cornerback spot, especially if he's going against, Jaden Ballard, who, he went up against in practice. He knows Jaden really well. He's not going to be fooled by any of the moves that Jaden tries to make. So I think there's a chance for Jermaine to get his hands on another football. So I'm going to go with the Jermaine Matthews forced turnover in this game. And I think he's going to, as we start to turn toward the home stretch of this regular season, I think he's going to slowly become not just the household name in the great state of Ohio, but around the country. And college football fans are going to need to know who he is entering the college football playoff run. So I think Jermaine's going to have another turnover in this game.
I like that one a lot. And I went defense. I went offense. I think I'm going to stick on offense. And this guy, he's gotten kind of highlighted recently because of a block he missed, like you mentioned earlier. But I think we get to see a little bit more of Max Clare on Saturday against the Badgers. I think this is a guy that Ohio State wants to use more as whether it's a slot weapon or an inside wide receiver. Like there's some skill to Max Clare and some receiving ability that they haven't really tapped into yet. I think we'll see it a little bit against Wisconsin, give him some confidence, make sure he's riding high going into the bye week. So I'll go. I believe you had him around this area last week, somewhere along the lines of 5 receptions, 75 yards for Max Clare, and he's just going to get rolling, kind of have his best game of the season so far is what I'll say.
I actually had that for Brandon Ennis last week.
Oh, okay.
Do
you have Brandon Ennis for your third one?
No, but here's the deal, Mick. Like, I was so excited, man. Brandon caught the opening play of the game. He catches a pass. I'm like, oh, here we go. Let's go. My bold prediction well on its way. He's already got, I think, you got 12 yards on that play, 1 catch for 12 yards. Oh, perfect start. In 59 minutes and 50 seconds, he needs 4 more catches for 62 yards. And I was like, this is perfect. And he had 1 more catch for 2 yards. So, yeah, I was a little sad, but that's okay. These bold predictions aren't meant to come true. Actually, they are. I kind of put a lot of research in these bold predictions. It's kind of startling how bad we are at these bold predictions, considering how much we put into them. My third bold prediction, Mick, is that Ohio State gets near or over. I don't really know which one because it's all semantics at the end of the game as to what you're doing. You're running the football. Do you run for 3 yards? Do you run for 30 yards? Ohio State's going to near 200 yards on the ground. They haven't done that in a Big Ten game yet this season. The Buckeyes, I think, need to get back to doing business on the ground. Ryan Day said on Wednesday night, and this is a reason that I'm still very bullish on this run game. First of all, because I think the offensive line is playing well and blocking it relatively well. They need better from the tight ends in the blocking game. They need better from the receivers in the blocking game. And they need better vision from these running backs, man. But what I'm hearing from Ryan Day has me encouraged on the Ohio State ground game, and I want to know if you think the same. Ryan Day said, and this is a quote. I'm sorry. I know you guys don't like hearing quotes. You can read it over at lettermenrow.com, $1 for your first 7 days. Ryan Day said, quote, I think that we're continually trying to figure out how to put guys in positions to be successful in those moments. We're not designing a ton of plays to just create explosives because we feel like we can be efficient, but we do have some different things that we can get to as time goes on to try to create explosives. But a lot of our explosive plays typically come from our receivers, but we'd love to get some of these runs into the secondary and create explosives. They have things up their sleeve, Mick, that I think they're going to get to in this run game when they need to. But right now they're working on hammering home standard counter, standard, inside zone, standard run plays that they can just always turn to and run the football. And they're trying to work through some kinks in that. I think there are some things that they're going to get to in this game just to throw them on film, make Jim Knowles think about what he's got to do in the next 2 weeks to prepare for Ohio State's rushing attack when Penn State comes to town. Make Wink Martindale and that Michigan staff start to try to prepare for how to defend Ohio State and get to some of these run concepts and put some things on film that maybe they haven't yet. I think they're going to start to scratch that itch a little bit there, and put some silence into the doubters of this Ohio State run game. I think you're going to see that on Saturday. So I'm going to go with nearing 200 yards. I don't know if they'll exactly get there because, again, the fourth quarter, it could just be a running out the clock situation. And I don't want to have to deal with, sweating out of 200. So, I think maybe I would officially predict 185 yards on the ground, but I'm not going to get exactly they're going to rush for 200 yards. But I think they're going to push close to that number.
I like that. 200 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns. We clearly see this as what your hat says right behind you over there. And Ohio State's going to run the dang ball when they get to Madison. Run the dang ball, deal with the weather, get out of town, get to the bye week. And like you said, you got this offensive line with a handful of guys that they're still young in their football career at Ohio State. They're still trying to figure some things out. You got Bo Jackson that's still trying to figure out how you want to best use him. So like you said, we run standard counter. You run standard, draw plays, pull plays, different things that you kind of just get a feel for. So that when you get to Penn State, which is supposed to be a big game, or when you get to the Michigan game, or even the Big Ten championship in the playoff and whatnot, when we can hang our hat on something in the run game, this is what we can go to. And I don't think Ohio State's found that yet. Maybe you start to find that this week against Wisconsin.
Yeah, I think there's a chance that you do, Mick. And I think that there's a lot of chance next week to find yourself on the couch watching college football on October 25th, like we all will, because there's going to be no Ohio State football, because college football season is in full swing. The Modelo Recruiter is back in action, Mick. I don't know if you know this, but the Modelo Recruiter is back in action. He's looking to reward full-time fans who give their all for their team. If you're listening to this or watching this, you've been recruited. Yes, you, the 2-star from rural Ohio who never had an offer. Now you're being recruited, son. You've been recruited. It's time for an ice-cold reward. Modelo is the perfect reward for your fandom and is the official beer sponsor of the College Football Playoff. Buckeyes fans, you deserve a Modelo. Go grab a Modelo today. Now it's time, Mick. We're going to make some game picks. As always, the picks are brought to you by our friends over at BetMGM. As you all know by now, we've teamed up with BetMGM this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks through the rest of the year. We'll have special offers for listeners. If you join BetMGM, you get access to a variety of parlay selection features like same-game parlays, live betting options, and more. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use the bonus code ON3, ON3, and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. Listen closely. I know we do this every week, but you got to listen. Download the BetMGM app. Sign up using the bonus code ON3, ON3. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, even if you don't want to bet on Ohio State. You will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. If your bet loses, just make sure to use the bonus code ON3 when you sign up. Make this college football season one for the history books. Make it legendary. See BetMGM for terms. 21 and over. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369 in New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona. 1-800-327-5050 in Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. 1-800-981-0023 in Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets expire in 7 days in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use the bonus code ON3 or get $1,500 in your first bet offer today.
Nice and easy for Spencer there to read. So that means there we go. So we're going to just start talking about this Ohio State game. And then, of course, we'll get into Spencer's picks, which is what everybody's really here for.
Mick, who you got? What you got?
I texted it to you. I originally said a joke, but on the score prediction, which I think is a little played out, so we're not going to say it here. But for the actual score prediction, I said let me double check here because I'm mixing my numbers up now. I know it was a high number to a little number, but my official prediction was 59-7. Ohio State beats Wisconsin in Madison, and I think we're going to be in and out of Madison and enjoying our trip back on Sunday with a lot to write about.
I'm sorry, Mick. I can't get on board with this. I think that's a little high. The folks at BetMGM do really good work. They work hard. They set these lines. They know what they're talking about. They've got this as 25.5. The total is 41.5. So they see Ohio State winning 34-10? No, 31-7. 32-8. I'm not a mathematician, Mick, and neither are you. They've got Ohio State winning by 25.5. The money line is minus 5,000. If you really think Wisconsin's going to win, it's plus 1,600. There's good opportunity there. Nobody listening to this thinks Wisconsin's going to win. That's fine. I've got Ohio State getting in, getting out with a pretty easy, comfortable win, but nothing completely flashy. You've got a lot of things flashy there with 59-7. That's just like grass through. You've got Ohio State running through Wisconsin like grass through a goose, man. I've got Ohio State kind of keeping it a little bit more tame. I think the Jeremiah Smith 3 touchdowns will be accompanied by a couple scores for the running backs. I officially have this as 38-3. I think the weather is going to play a little bit of an impact. I think that the line is kind of suggesting that the total at 41.5. I actually have this going under the total right at 41. You get beat by the hook. You always hate that if you take the over. I've got Ohio State winning this game 38-3, a nice comfortable win. Something interesting, Nick, the Buckeyes are 9-0-1 against the spread in their last 10 games, and that fits perfectly with the college football playoff. So since the Michigan game, which is a nice clean break for everyone involved, trust me, they are 9-0-1 against the spread. So they've just been absolutely decimating teams against the number. So I think Ohio State is going to cover this number, but I don't think the total will hit the over. So I'm going to go 38-3. Ohio State takes down Wisconsin, comes back home, and gets that idle week that the Buckeyes are really looking forward to, I think, heading into next week before they get into the November stretch that starts with Penn State in a couple weeks. So there's that, Mick. I've got Ohio State winning and covering, total going under. You've got Ohio State winning and covering, total going over, and Ohio State hitting the over by itself.
I see Ohio State going out and getting some scoring some points here. You got to get all the work in before the idle week off week, and like you said, maybe put a good bit of stuff on film for Jim Knowles and the skeleton staff over there in State College to worry about before they come into Columbus. What else you got on the card, Spencer? What else are we riding with here?
Iowa -3.
Iowa -3.
I don't. Last week after the Penn State game, they're asking like defensive linemen, like, why, what's wrong with the run defense? And one of them was like, it's not my job. It's like, well, actually, kind of is your job. Speaking of jobs, James Franklin doesn't have one now, so they've already got that. It's Iowa at night, Kinnick Stadium at night. Penn State's going to have to do the most miserable for end of first quarter wave possible. I just don't know how much the Nittany Lions have left in the tank. All these guys who are still going to be high draft picks, like, what are they playing for? How are we doing here? Iowa's going to look at this as an opportunity to just absolutely bury the Penn State program for the rest of the year.
First-time starter against Phil Parker on the road.
Yeah, he mimight be in a blender.
And I like Ethan Grunkemeyer. I got to cover him a good bit while he was at Olentangy, but that's just a tough spot to be saying, hey, let's go get a road win. When they're not throwing at Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. Nobody on that Penn State wide receiver core would crack the two deep or get into the spot even where Miley Graham or Quincy Porter are at right now.
Yeah, so I'm just taking Iowa -3. We probably didn't need that deep of a dive into that game. I apologize, America. Staying in the Big Ten, Washington, Michigan over 50.5. I think that either Washington blows them out or Michigan wins a shootout. Michigan defense apparently is having some chemistry issues in the locker room, according to some folks in the know. And I just don't think that this Michigan defensive coaching staff has really a great pulse on the things that are going on. I watched the Washington. Wow, the USC receivers just kind of carve up Michigan, and they couldn't really stop the run. And Jonah Coleman is a tackle-breaking machine. So I'm going to take that to go over just because, hey, Michigan might win, but I think Washington's going to score some points with Damon Williams and Denzel Boston and Jonah Coleman. And, oh, by the way, like who Ohio State did a really nice job on, Desmond Roebuck, the true freshman wide receiver, looking like a future star in the Big Ten at wide receiver. So, watch out for him too, especially in a banged-up Michigan secondary. And then Oklahoma -5.5 at South Carolina. I just don't think South Carolina's got the juice, man. And then finally, last one, Nicholas. Vanderbilt -2.5 against LSU. Brian Kelly, sorry, bud. Vanderbilt -2.5 against LSU. That's all we've got for you folks. That's Mick Walker on the other side of your screen. I'm just Spencer Holbrook. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you guys in Madison for Ohio State and Wisconsin on Saturday. We'll see you over at LettermenRow.com.